Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. You are live today on our Ramadan nights program, night 8. Today with a different host other than Sheikh Abu Abdurrahman, Adnan El-Cheikh. We're joined live with Ahmad, Rafik and Mazen Kourouche. Or should I say names in Arabic?
Yeah, probably.
Ahmad, Rafik and Mazen Kourouche. We are back from previous year, which we had our session on last year in Ramadan, if you guys remember and tuned in. Just speaking, having normal conversation, stuff that relate to us, quotation marks, youth, and our activities that we do in our day-to-day life and how we can relate that to Islam and hopefully provide benefit to our many listeners. So today we've got a couple of points that we would like to talk about and discuss. But before we get into that, let's just get into it. Should I talk? How have you guys been for the past year?
Mazen?
Since you haven't been here.
To me.
The guy with the glasses first.
There's two. Alhamdulillah, it's been a, I think for everyone actually, it's been a crazy year. I wouldn't say like just 2020, but since last Ramadan, a lot's happened. Especially, I guess when we're talking youth, a lot of people. There's uni, there's work, there's marriage life, there's family life, there's the world itself, like what's been happening. So
I don't know how much youth.
That's why I said quotation marks youth, because like
is relatable to us anymore.
Give it a couple.
Have you seen how much white hairs I have on my head these days?
I'll compete with you
Yeah,
on that.
I'm getting old, man.
I've seen that in your family. It's common. So.
Yeah, it is. My dad's, mashallah, like full white head of white hair.
Wisdom,
Mashallah.
full of wisdom.
Yeah, alhamdulillah. So yeah, what happened? I graduated uni, if that means anything. I'm a full-time optometrist now.
Join the rat race.
Come through if you need some sunglasses or anything. Shameless plug.
No, it's
But
nothing wrong.
nothing. Maybe unfortunate or fortunate for many people, or even the people I know. Not much has changed since last year. You know, like it's the same old stuff that we've always done, and unless we like decide to actively change it, we'll always do. And it could be good if that could be a good thing, right? If you're stuck in a good cycle, or if it could be bad if you're just stuck in a bad cycle and it's just stagnant,
Yes.
right?
That's one of the topics that we're gonna plan to discuss today, inshallah.
It's all natural, Adnan.
No, of course,
we
but
didn't write anything.
What I was gonna get at is that there's nothing changed in the past year.
Yeah, which I guess. Well, are you speaking for yourself
No,
or
for
in
all of
general?
us, that's the answer that I got from both of you guys, and I was gonna say.
No,
similar to
I wouldn't
myself.
say things haven't changed for me. Alhamdulillah.
No, but I
like,
was saying a lot happened, but it depends. We're going to get into what has and hasn't changed, I guess.
yeah, like I know, for instance, there was promises I made last year on things I wanted to incorporate in my life that I still haven't incorporated, and I said I'll start with this Ramadan, and I'm trying my best. But subhanAllah, how 1 year went past, and I said I was going to incorporate that in my life. I still haven't. Like, frequently my parents tell me, Ahmad, place 2 ruku' before you leave the house, you know, salat duha, right? And I'm like, for a while now, I'll be like, once Ramadan comes, I'll do it. Once Ramadan comes, I'll make that the habit that I'm going to change, inshallah, you know. And why did I leave it till that long? You know what I mean? What's the point? It's stupid.
Just need the action.
Yeah, that's
Just
all it
need
is.
to
It's just
start.
action. Other things, don't get me wrong. Other things that I have changed, don't get me wrong. But like little stuff like that, easy to change. Sorry, I put my phone on silent. Easy to change. Doesn't take much effort. Doesn't take much time. It's just taking that leap of faith. And I think too many people can relate. It's unfortunate, but too many people can relate that they just want to fix something, want to incorporate something into their lives. But they just delay, procrastinate, delay until you got as many white hairs as my dad's.
Amazing. Has Ahmed prepared today? He's definitely prepared.
Yeah, he told us to go natural, and then he's like reading
He's
up
already
his
inside.
But you guys know.
I was gonna say.
You guys know I talk a lot. You guys know that.
Yeah.
So this is all alhamdulillah natural to me. Which is I talk too much.
I think me and Mazen spoke about it last year because we were in that situation where we had finished university and we started work full time. So let's get your opinion on what it's like working full time now and completely finished uni. Has 1 second. Let me finish, bro.
See, I'm ready to talk. I'm ready
Because he's
to
planned.
jump.
He's prepared for that question.
I have not prepared. Wallah. I don't think
I knew
anyone can
Adnan
see
was
what
gonna-
you're doing. He just pretended to take out notes from his pocket.
Yeah, so I remember from last year we were saying that, like, what was the thing that we were saying, Smaller? Or how everyone says, oh, once we finish uni, we're going to have heaps of free time. We're going to go bang, 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 do this while we're at work.
Yeah.
And then me and
It starts
Mazen...
with school. It's like once I finish school, then at
Yeah.
uni. Then after uni, when I'm at work.
And then work, then marriage, and onwards. I remember me and Mazen were talking about it and crying last podcast, if you guys want to listen to it. So talk to us, Ahmad.
This is like an intervention now for me or something.
Yes, tell us.
But finishing uni, alhamdulillah, I think was the best thing. I'm loving it, in all honesty. Yes, I'm working a 9 to 5, every day.
Give him a year.
5 days a week. No, I'm loving the freedom of it, right? When
Yeah.
you're at uni, okay, you go to uni, if you do at all, like I barely went, but you go to uni, or you're catching up on uni or whatever. When you go home, you got to study, or you got to prepare for an exam, or you got to do, a task of some sort. Like, uni follows you home. At work, okay, generally, it doesn't follow you home. For me, sometimes it does. I have some stuff to do, like I got to follow up on patients and write reports and so on and so forth. But generally, it doesn't follow me home. So once I get home, I sit down with my family, have dinner, and then I can do as I wish. Whether that's bludging or whether it's using my time effectively, ultimately I can do as I wish. So in that sense, I'm actually loving the post-uni life. But in terms of, how you guys are saying, after uni I'll do this, after I'll do that. Alhamdulillah, after uni, I've now enrolled again in university.
What?
I'm doing an online course. I'm
Okay.
doing some online course because I always said to myself, I'm going to do stuff. And I was doing it during uni, don't get me wrong, but it was not as much as I should have. And now I've gone back, I'm doing a diploma in certain studies online. And it's to benefit my akhirah ultimately. And that's what I mean. So now I finish work, I go home and I do a bit of study of that, whatever it may be. And, I feel fulfilled. I've done, when you do study a bit of ilm, so to speak, as little as we do, you do feel fulfilled, like you've achieved something that day. You feel on top of the world. So I go home, I'll do a bit of that. Not every day, don't get me wrong. I oblige a lot as well. And, I feel like alhamdulillah, I'm benefiting from my time now. Not as much as I should have.
Yeah, of course. I can agree to that. That like you don't have the uni stress of where you're going home and you're worried
Yeah.
about an exam, and you start doing anything to avoid the exam. So you start sleeping and doing anything, and then
Mate.
the only minutes you get free is studying for that exam. It's not like anything else. Alhamdulillah.
Yeah, but that's the issue with
step
uni
over.
though. Even when you have free time, you're always like, there's a bit
it's
of
in the
guilt.
back of your mind.
It's on the back of your head, like, oh, but I should be studying, but I should be doing this, or I could be doing that. But when you don't have, like, similar to Ahmed, like, I don't, alhamdulillah, the way my work is, I don't take much of it home. If ever, like, sometimes it is, if it is, it's generally by choice.
Other
right?
than the
So-
stress and anxiety.
Yeah, that's something different. But but the thing is, the stress and anxiety that comes with it is, it's not the work. It's, at least for me, it's not the work itself. It's like the actual concept of the job. Like, it gets ugly. I guess anyone who's in a full-time job knows. Like, it's just the cycle of just going back and forth. Wake up 9 to 5, back and forth. I think that's the ugly part about it. Alhamdulillah, I do enjoy my job. Like the physical job itself, I feel like it's good. But yeah, in terms of work, I guess like. For my work, because I choose, like, I go between clients. When I spoke last year, I was.
Do you want to explain to everyone what you do for
Oh
work?
yeah,
People are
forgot
lost.
about that. So a year and a half ago, I don't know when it was. I graduated as a software engineer. So I'm a software engineer, but I work specifically. I make mobile applications for iPhone. So at the company that I work at, we deal with clients. And last year I had just started. When was Ramadan last year? May. Was it May?
Same time.
Yeah, so
roughly.
like as in right now. So I've been there for about a year. I had just started, and I wasn't really on client projects yet. So for me, I was just getting into routine and figuring out how things work. But I think once you start working, or once you get into uni or whatever it is that you've just started, one of the important things I found was picking up. Last year we spoke about it, knowing, for example, what time Jummah prayer is, knowing when you're going to pray, what you're going to do, or if you have a certain break, knowing if you're going to use that for certain parts of your akhirah, like, we're talking about that specifically, and tailoring that to your work, like tailoring your time around that.
Yeah.
So I'd say at least over the last year, I think I've managed to get a schedule for my life. That's step one. But then after that, subhanallah, what I think we might get into this, but subhanallah, what I noticed is, at least last year, what was good for me was I ended up on that high after Ramadan, and it lasted for a period of time. The issue for me that year, right, like each year is different. The issue for me that year was I started to notice that, you know, that turning point where it starts to,
Head back down.
you're not going up anymore, and then it stays still for a little bit, and you're like, okay, now it's going back down this way. And
It's
you're
like
like,
a roller coaster, you
Yeah.
know, it goes slow, and then at the top it stops.
but the thing is, like, I saw that point coming, and I was like, straight away, I was like, wait, when's Ramadan coming? I'm like, 'cause it better not be far from here, because as soon as we're going, otherwise it's a steep slope from there. But subhanAllah, alhamdulillah, it wasn't that far. And we're here now. So,
Alhamdulillah. Just to remind the listeners, and I'm going to interrupt you guys. If you guys want to add to the conversation, you guys can leave your comments on Facebook. Will probably be the best to get to us if you guys want to discuss or have a question and stuff like that. The Facebook, I think, is as simple as Albayan Radio. There should be a live stream going if you guys want to just add a comment on there. I think my phone's glitching now.
So like, other than your usual stuff that people change, right? People get married, they graduate uni, and so on and so forth. Ultimately, what have anyone really achieved? I used to have a teacher at school who says, when they ask us, what's your goal? We'd tell him, oh, we want to get married. He's like, cats and dogs get married.
Yeah.
Remember that? It's like, cats and dogs get married and have kids. Well, how's that a goal? Which is true, right? Like, obviously they don't get married, but like, they breed and so on and so forth. It's not much of a goal in some respects, right?
Yeah.
What have we, or you, the listeners, or myself, achieved in the last year? What have we done to better ourselves or those around us in the last year? Did we learn how to read Quran when we didn't before? Did we memorize more Quran? Did we take on a course in fiqh, in aqidah, in usul, whatever it may be, in tafsir? What have we done?
That's the
ultimate question, right?
Yeah, I think that was the main point. One of the main points that we wanted to discuss when we were brainstorming today. Saying that for me personally, it's like, okay, I remember so much, and we spoke a lot about that last year about, okay, what are we going to do after Ramadan? And I think one of the main points I remember mostly was writing everything down and knocking them off one by one. And subhanAllah, I wasn't on and off with that writing stuff. So on my diary, I was on and off. A lot of times I'd be on and I'd start smashing things, and to now I'm back into the routine of using a diary. But yesterday or the day before, I opened up my diary and I went back, like last year's diary, because I had it on my desk, and I'm like, wow, there's so much stuff that I hadn't done, forgotten, had written down, and I wanted to do, and I said last Ramadan, and it's been a year, and I'm like, subhanAllah, like, how long is it going to go on until I realize and rectify it, or is just going to go on?
It's overlooked.
Yeah.
Like, alhamdulillah, you went back and looked at it. You had the sight to go back and look at it. Other people, or most people actually, even myself, would just overlook it, and you don't realize now you've got this big baggage behind you of things left undone.
Yeah, and I think it's very beneficial. In that case, I remember Mazen was stressing about it last year about writing things down, and subhanAllah, if I hadn't written everything down, I wouldn't have realized this stuff, and it would have been, not that it's wrong or haram, but it would have been like overlooked, and like in my head I wanted to do those stuff, and I only realized now and had that feeling of guilt which I'm using to push me forward to the good. Now once I've read it and realized how much stuff I haven't achieved in that last year.
Do you feel like it's a vicious cycle?
Yes.
Like, it's honestly something that you go around in a circle, Ramadan to Ramadan, or whatever, year to year, so on and so forth, month to month, however long the cycle is. You're just going around in a loop of things you haven't done, and you go back to do, and then you don't do, and this and that, and this and that, and before you know what.
For example, like Adnan mentioned, I did stress the point last year about writing things down, and my reason for that is the point Adnan made. You can look back and then at least see if you have improved and where you haven't, to actually work on that. What I got from that personally this year was, so for example, I use an app where every day I have a list, and what I do is, like, I've labeled it Ramadan 1, 2, 3, right, the actual days. So I still, subhanAllah, I hadn't deleted or changed the app, or I don't know, everything backed up somehow, and I still have exactly the same list from last year. And I was looking at it, and subhanAllah, I feel like, if we say my point when I entered Ramadan this year, I feel like I'm not going to say I'm at a better stage of when I exited Ramadan, because obviously there's that drop, right? But I feel like I'm at a better stage than I was when I started Ramadan last year, right? But then when I look at, I've got now Ramadan 1, this year under Ramadan, 1 last year, and 2, and like they're
Yeah.
in order. And I'm looking, and this year, subhanallah, for example, last year I ticked off, let's say, 19 out of 20 tasks on that day, and then the next day 17 out of 20. And I'm looking at this year, and it's at like 15, 14, 13, and I'm like, but I started more motivated, more energized, but I'm still either at the same point or like, realistically there should be an improvement.
Why do you think that is though? Like there has to be a reason for that. If you feel like you're better this year,
I think
but
it's
you're
just
not
going
achieving
back to
as
the
much.
point of the vicious cycle that we give ourselves a false sense of hope, not bagging out.
No,
And
of
then
course,
it just
that's what we're
Banging
addressing.
out's alright.
and then it just ends up becoming normal, and then
Yeah.
realize like you dropped it and it's like a normal thing. You completely forget about it.
But at least like for example, alhamdulillah, the good thing is I know, like at least again another point of writing it down. I look back and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm at 15. Last year I was at 17. I got to pump it up, and then that got me. After I saw a few days go past, I was like, okay, you got to pull up a bit, and it helps in that sense. But like what Ahmad mentioned, why is that the case? Why are we going around in circles? We're making improvements, but we're still not going anywhere. So,
Big question.
Yeah, it is.
I think something.
There's
for
no
everyone to ponder
real.
about.
There's no real like. I think, actually, there is. I feel like there's easy solution to it. Like, once you come across that goal, just bang it out. Honestly, it's the easiest thing. I find it's the easiest thing. Once you set a goal for yourself, just throw yourself straight into the deep end. Get into it, enroll, attend the class, whatever it may be, and hold yourself accountable. And then 1, 2, 3, 10, 20, 30. After a while, that's it. You've developed a habit,
Yeah.
and it's part of your day-to-day routine.
That's what it is. And I remember, I think Ahmad can vouch for it. Every time I give him a call, I'm like, oh, I've got these empty slots in my free time. I got to do something about it. And he keeps telling me off that I keep calling him every month or two.
And then every Sunday, sorry, bro, that I've said. Nah, but that's true.
Yeah.
It's not just
And-
you. It's applicable to everyone.
Of course. And then I think with me, subhanAllah, like I started something a couple of weeks ago. And now that I've literally, all I did take for me was to start. And then I had this like huge booklet and I've got to finish it. And now I'm halfway through it. And like in my mind, hopefully I've started with the right intention, going to continue the right intention. But a lot of times I don't stop on that because I'm like, okay, I'm up to, lesson number 12. Let's go in lesson number 13.
Yeah,
You
that's
don't-
me.
It's like, I don't want to waste these 12 lessons.
I can't leave it left halfway,
Yeah.
half done, right?
Yeah.
But that's my point. Like, I have that mindset, same as you. I can't live. I done already 10% or 15% of it. Let me at least see it through to the
yeah,
end.
and that thing is 10 or 15% might sound like it's nothing, but when you do it, 10 or 15%, like you're basically all the way in. Like you're in the middle of it.
That's exactly my point. So
Yeah.
if you set yourself a task, jump straight into the deep end, okay? Put your hand up straight away, go for it, and then you do that 10% because you're pumped for that first 10% of the time,
Yeah.
and then you lose that motivation, and then you're like, oh man, but I've already done 10% of it. Let me finish it through, and then by the end of it, you're like, wow, okay, I finished the whole task or the whole goal or the whole course, whatever I wanted to do, and you're on top of the world.
And I think a great example for most people to understand that, if they're probably not understanding what we're saying, is just the fact of university. It's like, okay, who would have thought 5 years ago, pushing 6 years ago maybe, or 5 years ago, we would have been complete clueless about the course that we enrolled in, know nothing. And now we look to say, okay, this guy knows what he's talking about in regards to his industry. Like, I get people calling me and I'm like thinking, subhanAllah, like, what? Couple of years ago, I would have had no clue what he's talking about, and now all of a sudden I'm this qualified, graduated person with this huge amount of knowledge.
SubhanAllah, like 1 year makes a massive difference in something like that.
Yeah,
But even uni, I'll be honest, I had a 4-year degree. I was 2 years in, and at that I didn't want to finish my degree. That's because, at least in my field, there are certain avenues you can take where you don't need to finish
I think
the degree.
we've got to thank
But,
Abdul for the tea.
No, I did.
Jazakallah khair, Abdurrahman, for the tea.
Sorry, Mazen.
We're not all like you, bro. Don't worry. So something like that. I waited to get into it, and I got into it. And at least in my head, I saw I don't need to finish the degree, right? But I was already halfway through. I was 2 years in, even though I still had 2 years left. But for me, if I left at that point, it was like
I wasted 2
I
years.
wasted 2 years.
I'm in 20 grand debt. Let me finish it and get into 40 grand debt. But that's what
and
it
have
is.
wasted 4 years. But yeah,
That's actually like you hit the nail on the head with that example. Like everyone will be like, I want to drop out of uni 1 semester in, 2 semesters in. But then like, nah, let me see it through. They see it through and they finish the degree. Then they might decide to do another degree or whatever it may
Nothing's
be.
lost at the end of the day.
Yeah,
That's
it's well, I wouldn't say nothing's lost. You lost 40 grand. You're in a lot of debt, but
all right, when you're making like, decisions like that. But I'm saying, in terms of regretting, like if, for example, you at one point you were pumped and you really wanted to do something and you realize, for example, no, maybe this isn't for me. Even, for example, when it comes to like, I'm not saying jump in and out because I don't agree that that's the best option. But even when you're taking up a new task, something might, let's say, for example, people, they think, I want to get into fitness or whatever. It's not, I'll be honest, I don't think it's for everyone. Or some people want to get into academia. It's probably not for, definitely not for you. And not, people want to,
well,
people want to get into academia. At least, like, if you don't try it, that's the thing. If you don't go in and, go all the way and jump into the deep end and then realize that you don't like it or maybe it's not for you, you won't ever know, and you won't even reap the benefits of it if it ends up being for you.
I think that's as well, just to be balanced, it's completely fine to taste something, do something, and then realize that's not what you really want to do. Now, I'm not saying in an Islamic sense, because maybe that's the wrong thing. Maybe in an Islamic sense, maybe you can relate it to choosing an Islamic science that you want to study, and maybe
like
something
the path you want to go down.
Yeah, something not benefit you. Something that you don't really like enjoy. But for example, with sports or academia stuff like that, let's say you enroll. Now we're talking about professional. Like we finished uni. Okay, you started like a management course. You want to try and get into a management role in your company, and you start it, and you're 3 months in, and you realize, okay, maybe that's not what you want to do. At least you've learned 3 months of how to be a manager, how to understand what your manager wants from you, and at least you learn. You haven't completely lost anything, and you've understood that this is not what I want to do, and you've saved yourself time effectively.
Honestly, I think that's the biggest gain. Like, in knowing that that's not for you. Otherwise, you're going to sit there and you're going to dwell over it for
FOMO.
For a long period of time. And you're like, oh, what if I was made out to be that?
But from an Islamic perspective, do you think that's the same?
No, that's what I was saying. With an Islamic perspective, I think we should all start somewhere, and we should all continue.
You got to take on the right amount. That's one thing. That's like what you were telling me before, how Adnan calls me every month or whatever. Like, obviously, that's an exaggeration. But sometimes people, Adnan, like, as an example, sometimes he takes on too much, mashallah. Like, he'll be, I'll do this, I'll do that, I want to do this. And then by the end of, after a period of time, the guy's drowning, okay, in too much stuff and too many things he's committed to. And then he'll be like, what's the point? Let me drop all of it. Not specifically your example, but that's what happens to people. They take on too much, and then they get drained out.
Yeah, it's called burnout.
Yeah, it's burnout. They get burnt out. So you do one thing, commit to it, throw yourself into the deep end, and finish it off. Okay, have a set time, a set schedule where you're doing it all regularly, and you'll be loving life. Trust me, you'll be loving life.
And I think on that point as well, a set schedule really, really helps me, because I'll come to that time of the day, I'm like, okay, I'm not doing anything, and I'll be so used to that, and I'm like, khalas, I got to get back into it. And I honestly feel like I'm missing out when I'm not doing that. Like, a couple months back when I wasn't into like a complete routine and I was just really free, if I was to do something and I wouldn't really feel guilty of missing out on it the day before. If I, like, let's say, go out with my mates or go fishing or whatever it is. Now I'm like, okay, this time 7:30 to 8:30 is my time. Like, don't touch it. And I don't, like, if someone calls me to go out, I'm like, nah. Like, I'd rather stay home, finish this off, because there's a sense of accomplishment. Ahmad shaking his head.
Always dogging us. We tell him, Adnan, let's go out.
That's not true.
Nah, he can't. Doesn't want to come out.
My resume is full of invites and going over to people's houses.
Never inviting people to your house though.
Because of haram. Yeah, but I think routine schedule really helps me out.
Yeah, for sure. For sure, definitely. Like, I find that's the biggest thing for me as well. Routine schedule. Even like when you commit to something from an Islamic perspective, once you've committed, you follow through.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't follow through, ultimately you're the loser, right? You're losing out on the reward, you're losing out on the khair, whatever it may be. There's something good in any Islamic environment or commitment that you and if you can't commit completely, contribute something, right? Like, for instance, many hands make light work. Like, for the Albayan, the Ramadan nights, they're doing little snippets of videos that the Mashaykh have produced, right? There's about 15 videos, and if one person was to do it all, it's too much, right? It might be too much for them. But if one person says, I want to commit, but I can only do one video, okay, that encourages another person, all right, I'll commit, but I can't do the whole thing. I'll do 2 videos or 1 video a week. Now you're enjoined in the goodness, you're gaining reward, and the whole task is completed because everyone's now committed to doing a small portion of it. Does that make sense? Would you agree?
Of course.
Like,
A lot of times, and I think a lot of times people miss out on doing small things or just taking just small things. It helps a lot. It really, really does help a lot, especially with like the dawah efforts and stuff like that. Just small efforts from each individual makes so much happen in the end.
I clash heads with Mazen on this one a lot. I messaged him the other day and I'm like, Mazen, can I recruit you for khair? And
Didn't he
he's
message me the same thing?
Yeah, I did. All right, I did.
Hey,
And
can you go to a break segment?
We're gonna fight.
No,
but on a
Yeah.
let's discuss it. No, it doesn't matter. Let's discuss
No,
it.
I'm mucking around.
So I asked him, I'm like, can I recruit you for khair? He's like, depends on what. I'm like, Mazen, you can't. You gotta jump into it.
we have people on the live view because I want opinions now.
We have a different mentality.
Give us
on
your
this,
opinions.
which is fine. But my mentality is, if someone says, can I recruit you for khair, regardless, depending on who the person is as well, like, right? I know you very well, you trust me, I know your lifestyle, so to speak, so you know that I'm not going to tell you, Mazen, I want you to paint this masjid, right?
Allahu alam, bro.
It's like design an app to get a robot to paint the masjid.
Wallah, I wouldn't put it past you, bro. Wallah.
No, but, like, and then it was like, depends on what. I'm like, no, you jump into it, and then if you can't commit to the whole thing, do a portion of it. Would you not agree, Adnan, that would be a good mindset?
No.
No?
Because what we said on before, honestly, while I'm being fair,
No, I'm open to
in
this.
a sense
I'm
that,
open to be
like,
proven
don't
wrong.
take on more than what you can choose. So I think it's both right. So the right thing to do was to be asked about it, and if you can do contribute. But like, then again, I'm just thinking about myself. So many times people have told me small things, and then I ended up in 100 WhatsApp groups with 100 little things to do, and I'm like, okay, too much.
No, but like, that's my point. But okay, yeah, he
Look,
did say it depends. He
look,
didn't.
the thing
He
is,
didn't
like,
turn it down. That's
yeah,
true.
look,
That's a good point.
For me, look, here's the thing. For me, also, like, okay.
If you want to come to my counselling sessions, guys, I offer mediation.
No, at least there'll be, inshallah, there'll be benefit from this anyway. But at the time that Ahmad messaged, I had taken on a lot on my plate, right? So when he messaged that one message, I'm like, honestly, like,
The plate's gonna break.
like that's why. So for me, it was depends. But look, regardless, I would always ask depends anyway, because I'm not gonna say yes. Like, you know, my thing is, I'm not gonna say yes and then it turns out I'm like, I'd rather not say yes and then tell you yes or no if I know what it is. But if you're not gonna tell me what it is, I don't want to jump into that. Also, if you go into experience, similar to what you said, Adnan, or I don't know, but it was about Adnan. I've taken, like, there's been occasions where I took on like 400 things and I'm like, all right, snap, I don't know what to do. Do I do this? Do I do that? And then none of them end up happening. And it just crashes. And for you, you don't want, it's not in terms of a reputation thing, like as in, like, you know, worried about your, but you want people to keep coming to you for khair. You do want to be able to participate in the khair, but you don't want to, what are you laughing about? You have people on the live? We need opinion.
He's a weird host. He's reading his phone.
Yeah,
He's reading his messages.
But you want to be able to know, like, that I'm going to commit through to this and actually be able to contribute. If I'm not going to, I'll give you an example, even just in the workplace, right? Like, very recently, I contacted a member of, like, an employee of a very high tech company. You know, I thought I'd take a long shot. Maybe, you know, who knows, might get in there somehow. And he responded back to me, and part of it was just joining as a volunteering thing for the company, right? And bad host and a bad, whatever they call it.
Forgive me, I read the message. I shouldn't have.
Anyway, so I contacted this person, and it was for a volunteering thing for one of their events.
Yeah.
And part of it was, you know, he said to me, just assuming we're in a tech company, he said to me, some of it is related to, you know, cloud, some of it's related to machine learning, some of it is in artificial intelligence, right? And he said to me, if you were to come and help us organize one of these events, which one of these would you choose? You know, which one do you want to focus on and target? I knew nothing about, like, not in terms of content, but I know nothing about how them as a company, they run this or what they expect. So for me, I straight up asked, I said, look, I need about, you know, a couple of days, or maybe end of the week. Give me some information on all of these and I read into them. My sole reason, and I said this straight up to him, was I'm here to contribute to people. I want to help people out. I want to be put under a category where I'm going to provide the most value. If you put me under artificial intelligence and I know nothing about that, I've never had any experience, whereas all my work has been in mobile apps, I'm going to walk in there and I'm going to stand in front of these people and they're going to walk out and no benefit whatsoever. I wasted my time and theirs. So for me, I want to know exactly what I'm doing at least, and know that if what I'm going to do is going to benefit, end of the day, fine. Hasana, if I perform the hasana, I will always benefit myself. But that's not all what it's about,
Be effective in what we do.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to dwell on this point a bit too much, but wallah, I can relate to it just this week. Like, I think I've said it last time, I do surveying as my career path. I'm normally in my company, I quite enjoy what I do and I'm all okay at what I'm going to do. I'm not going to say I'm the best. And then recently, like the last week, I got told to do basically a different type of surveying job, which is called strata, which I don't think anyone needs to know or benefit them. And I had the biggest heart attack, and it was so hard. I had the biggest heart attack, and I literally was gonna lose it on site. I was like, temperature up, my out of sure. I still haven't finished the job, and it's such an easy job. I came back to the office and I was speaking to people, and some people like, oh, it's so easy, this job, and he was like, oh, so hard. And I realized, like, subhanallah, there's such a huge difference what people want to do. And I know myself, I was gonna literally go up to my boss and say, please don't give me these types of jobs again, because I heard there was a guy, shouldn't disclose this much information, but what's it called? Yeah, it almost gave me a heart attack.
Bro.
No, there were people that have, I wasn't going to say anything, but then when I heard from other people saying that, okay, they've literally told our boss, please don't give me that job, I don't really go well with that, and it gives me a heart attack, they actually haven't been given that job anymore. And I was thinking to myself, okay, let me first try it out, actually give it a run before giving up on it in the first week. And maybe the next time or the time after, if I don't really get it right and I can't wrap my head around it, I'll just tell him, listen, I really can't do it. Please give me something else. I enjoy it more, and I won't waste your time. And I was speaking to someone there at my company, and they finished those jobs in one day. And now it's been 5 days and I still haven't finished. Hopefully tomorrow I'll finish, inshallah.
Do you need help, bro?
Sometimes.
No, but wouldn't you want to learn?
Of course, but I think that's going back to what I said. At least I learned and I experienced that in a practical sense, unlike Mazen, where he wanted to research. And I realized, okay, it's not the real type job for me. Measuring a lot of small distances, and I just lost the plot, drawing my square, simple square.
But also there's different avenues for you to learn. In my example, I guess, I don't think that was, for example, the right environment to learn. Because I'm there to teach, I'm not there to learn. Whereas if you were to put me in, you're right, there are a lot of times where you should just go take something head on and benefit from it. End of the day, you lose. But I'm thinking about being in a position where your goal is to benefit people, where that is the goal. Then you want to obviously know what you're doing, and otherwise, why would I build an app if I don't know how to build apps? So I'm not going to go and survey if I don't know how to survey, just so I can learn how to survey. You know what I mean?
It's survey, not survey.
Whatever. You always say surveying. ما تبلش هلا تحب الله.
That's a fair point. Anyone calling in, Adnan?
No, we had a chat. We had a comment on our Facebook chat. One from Ibrahim saying Allahumma barik lakon. We had a guy called Usaid Rafik saying sick invite. I don't know what that's about. And we have another Fatima Ahmad saying, I think this was about 6 minutes ago, maybe we should focus more on quality over quantity and try and be content with that. And this could be applied to anything in life. Which I think goes back to what we were saying. Sorry?
Which is exactly what we said. You know how we're talking about the vicious cycle, taking on too much, and then you're like, what the hell, I can't commit to all this, dropping it all. She's exactly right. Quality over quantity. That pretty much summarizes it. But at the same time, don't underpin yourself or undermine yourself. Do a considerable amount. Don't do I'm gonna just focus on this one thing for the next 6 months, albeit say it's small or something, and not do anything else. When you can get your hands messy in other efforts.
Yeah, I think as well, another point is be honest with yourself.
I was just gonna say, have self-awareness.
Yeah, be honest with yourself. If you're saying, okay, I'm gonna do one thing, but you're free 48 hours of the week, every week after, of course take something on,
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Because you know yourself. Otherwise, you're, like you said, be honest with you. You're going to be lying to yourself if you say, nah, I can't do this, and you're basically you're just sitting on your couch and you're watching TV, and then, but you could have been.
But you want to perfect your TV watching though. I mean, do you ever think of that?
That's
you want to be the perfect couch potato.
This guy's the king of loopholes. He'll find you a fatwa for anything.
For $1.
No, what was I gonna say? I think as well, I can't remember who was telling me this. Maybe one of our old teachers saying that, if you spend 1 hour a week on something or a day on something, after a year, let's say it's a week, you spend 50 hours on something, you're not gonna be, let's say, an expert level, but you're gonna be well aware of that stuff, that current whatever it is, that book you're reading, something that you're studying. You know, like don't underestimate small amounts of time over a long period. As we were saying, going back to the uni cycle, like it really, really adds up. Like you might see it as nothing, even though 10 minutes a day or 20 minutes a day on a train. After it, you'll be finishing books in a matter of 3-4 weeks. You know, and once the next.
By the way, I mean not now in Corona time, but if like you do catch the train to work, that's a solid period to use. Like,
oh mate,
you get a lot of time on that.
The best sleeps.
I'm sitting there like this guy's gonna agree.
No, yeah, you're right. Honestly, like if you do get good sleeps as well. Don't get me wrong. if that's what you want to do, depending on what time you're catching the train. But yeah, you can like get in solid study. I couldn't study, but I'd try and read Quran or memorize something. Yeah, I didn't find that because I can't read a book and take notes because that's how I sort of study. Yeah, if I do study, but Quran or memorizing is a bit. So you get 40 minutes because everyone catches it to Central or thereabouts. 40 minutes, and if you go in UNSW, another 20 minutes on the bus.
Yeah. Even car rides, you don't need to be holding something. Like if you have a train, benefit. You've got everything. You know,
car rides are for tasbih or lectures. That's what I do now.
No, Quran as well. Why not?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, that's stuff that you can recite and go along with. Like when I remember I got into reading probably after Ramadan last year on a train because I started getting depressed with myself. Like I'm not doing anything on a train, and I really didn't like catching a train to the city. And I started reading books, and now I've honestly read, even though it's not much, I've read like 5 complete books back to front. You know. And now I can say that now, and it's like something, you know. It's not like nothing. And if I hadn't done anything in that time, I wouldn't have double thought of that time. I would have been like, okay, like I'm just in my train to work, you know. I'm having leisure time, or doing nothing.
Well, yeah. On that note, books actually, I was never much of a reader.
I love it now.
Yeah, me too, man. Like me and Adnan actually we joined the book club, and. Say it. What are you going to say? I can't
say that on air.
Okay. Okay. So we joined a book club with a bunch of brothers, and we're like, the reading, there's benefit to it, and so on and so forth. Let's read the Seerah. We chose a book regarding the Seerah, and we have a small task of only 5 pages a day. Okay. Which initially felt like a lot for me. I'll be honest. Yeah. I felt like, wow, 5 pages.
Is it in English? Is it just reading 5?
No, it's in English. It's in English.
So it's like a book. So reading 5 pages of a book.
Yeah. And I was like, 5 pages isn't anything. And then I opened the book, and it's all this small writing. I'm like, man. And then you skip 1 day, 2 days, and you're like on 15 pages, and you gotta catch up. And then the book club leaders nagging you like, bro, did you finish your readings? But yeah, we joined the book club, and alhamdulillah, wow, like I am thoroughly enjoying it. It's something that I never thought I'd really actually get involved in, but someone threw the idea, and I'm like, why not? Like, how much time does 5 pages a day take? I can just watch one less YouTube video of bludgeoning and read for 5 pages. Takes what, 10 minutes tops, right? If everyone's fluent in English, and then you're fluent in English.
Yeah, sometime.
So 5 pages a day, and then initially I was like, man, how much am I going to benefit 5 pages a day? And I spoke to one of the other members in the book club. He's like, he's taking charge of it, and he's like, bro, watch, in a month's time, we would have finished this 600-page, 500-page book, and you would feel on top of the world. And even though you didn't sit and take notes or whatever it may be, you'll be able to draw out things or gems that you learned from that reading, like off the top of your head, without having to refer to anything. And it's given us like something that I can now benefit from. It's also given me a social gathering of sorts. I think
for the social gathering, what you guys don't understand is we do like every fortnight, everyone just jumps in that chat, and we are like complete nobodies.
The Zoom chat.
Yeah.
But after Corona, we plan to like get together.
Yeah. And like we're complete nobodies. We don't know much about, even though it's a book of Seerah, and we just discuss about what we learned. And we have someone there.
We're not. There's people in the group that.
That's what I was gonna say. Let me finish the sentence. Stop interrupting me. No, I'm kidding. Like we have someone there that knows a fair bit. And then we just discuss points. And like, let's say we have anything that comes out of line, out of proportion, he'll work us back into place. But I don't think we've done that. And we just literally discuss, and subhanAllah, you understand different people's views, and you guys can read the same line, the same paragraph, and extract different things. You know, and one, that's amazing, and that's at least opened my eyes. Okay, like people can read this, and not everyone's understanding it like Adnan does, which is probably like, which I think in my head is like the right way.
Very few people understand like Adnan does.
Not even Adnan does. And second thing is like you're understanding points, like and you're actually learning. And wallah, for me, I really enjoyed it. Like I did one, and like the first time Zoom chat, I'm like, oh, I really don't want to do it. But like now, I'm like, all right, let me turn it on. Even if I'm in the car or stuff like that, I'll listen, and tune in.
Yeah,
I really
for
find
sure.
it beneficial.
I told Mazen jump in on it. It's not too late if you want to jump in on it. By the way, you got to catch up on a couple 100 pages. 100 pages.
Sorry, but I'm not like you.
Huh? Oh,
I'm
what a
fluent.
tank. But yeah, like that's something what we committed to. And now, because we've got a network of brothers that are also doing it, it feels lighter on us, right? Don't you feel that way, Adnan? Like, imagine if you were reading that book by yourself, you lose the motivation. It's 600 pages or so. You'll stop after 50 pages. No, we've got brothers, and there's accountability. If you don't meet the criteria, there's a punishment of sadaqah, which is not a punishment, so to speak, but like it's a warning. Couple strikes and you're out of the group. You're out of the book club. Pretty exclusive when you think about it. So there's a joining fee if anyone's interested. My account number. But yeah, that's something like we've done in the last year from Ramadan to Ramadan that alhamdulillah we're benefiting. And we've put on pause for Ramadan because we said that Ramadan is a month of the Quran and everyone wants to focus on their own ibadah and so on and so forth. We're going to resume again after Ramadan. But inshallah,
grab the bull by its horns.
Yeah, grab the bull by its horns. That's exactly right. So yeah.
Don't leave opportunities missed, no matter how small they are. If you can do them.
Yeah, and have self-awareness. Just don't lie to yourself and tell yourself I don't have time to do them or I can't. So if you do.
Have you guys passed up on any opportunities? Do you feel like in hindsight you're like, man, I should have actually done that in the last year, what an idiot I am, or why did I say no to that person when they asked me for this, or so on and so forth? Do you guys feel like, do you regret anything over the last year at all?
I'm opposite, like I probably one of the rare or whatever. I say yes to everything.
Rare, you're shiny.
No. Like I say yes to everything, and then I realize, okay, I gotta start cutting off. So I'm not like, and it's wrong. I really try to keep telling myself, say no from the start, because it's bad. Like it's a lot, as we keep repeating ourselves, it's a lot worse saying halfway through you're doing something, I can't do it. When you've wasted time, people relied on you, than saying no from the start. It makes everyone's life a lot easier.
I'm like you. I say yes to everything, but I don't get asked as much as you. I'm not El-Cheikh, Adnan El-Cheikh, the host of Albayan. But I'm finding it okay.
I remember one thing. Okay, I can name one thing that we didn't do.
We didn't do it, or you didn't do it?
No, we didn't do it. Now probably everyone's gonna think about it the same time.
No, I'm not gonna think about it.
Oh yeah. Oh, I was thinking about that today.
Yes, SubhanAllah.
Oh,
he mentioned in the other group.
Now I got it.
Yeah,
okay.
like so people can understand. We made a
last year.
End of last year Ramadan. Me, Mazen and Ahmad said we wanted to do something in the future. And we had a couple of meetings, but then from then on, that's the answer.
Well, I'll be honest. I'm still not against the idea.
Me neither.
But SubhanAllah.
What happened? I was finishing uni, and then we met a couple times, and then we're like, we'll do the actual task, which is recording a video of sorts. After I finished uni, and then Adnan's wedding came around, and then Adnan's like, after my wedding, and then he went overseas, and then next thing you know,
it's Ramadan.
So about that. So if anyone wants to take over this idea of ours,
we'll charge you.
Yeah, that's you're right. Like that's we're I guess lacking in that sense or hypocritical in that sense.
No, I don't think it's hypocritical, but I think it's one thing that we've.
It's part of the cycle. It's literally like what you said.
That's true. I knew that was gonna come up. I actually knew that was gonna come up, and we were gonna talk about it.
I thought about it when you messaged in that group on WhatsApp, and I'm like,
I messaged in that group for a reason, bro. I messaged in that group, and you guys don't reply.
I replied. I was at work.
Mazen,
6 months later.
I was at work. I replied after I finished.
Sorry, boys, I was at work 6 months.
Aren't you working from home?
Yeah, but bro, don't even. But I feel like I'm working more now that I'm at home because I don't take a 1 hour break. And okay, I start. Yeah, I start
a 1 hour break at work.
Yeah.
Wow.
Living like
a
You don't get a 1 hour break?
No.
What kind of break do you get?
Half an hour, bro.
An hour.
What time do you start?
7. I'm gonna start flexing on you guys now. 7:30.
We're gonna just say that my work requires more brain power, and therefore I take breaks. And that's it.
Wow.
I'm solving the world's problems. You're solving a person's building's problem. You know what I'm saying?
So he went there.
Have you updated your detail survey of your house every year?
Do you need to detail your driveway?
I speak to my dad.
Come to me. I'll sort him out.
Slag him, Adnan. Slag him.
Yeah, just small fee, bro. Not much. Said said something on a Facebook saying that you're wrong. I really don't understand what he was referring to. He was saying for Ahmad, you were wrong. He was saying some history facts. Some leaders of the Muslim world would ask people to find books to add to their collection, and if it was a book they did not have, they would give the person its weight in gold. Unfortunately, in today's era, Muslims barely finish one book a year. That's the point he was bringing about. SubhanAllah.
What is he saying? What did he disagree with me about?
I don't know, to be honest.
I think maybe the you're wrong part was just heck, and then the rest of it was like.
He just wants to say that I'm wrong. What's he saying about?
I think the point I extracted from, and which we're gonna go back, which is back to my old point where everyone can extract something different from a paragraph, was that today's era Muslims barely finish one book a year. You know,
is he talking about the Quran or like?
No, book. I think
it just means book.
Yeah.
I mean, because you can talk about the Quran
this
too,
bro.
Tafsir.
This guy, what language is he speaking?
He's your mate.
Yeah.
To our next point, which I think we've spoken on too many times, which was the vicious cycle. I will go on to the next one. Opportunity. What could you have achieved and what did you pass on?
Yeah,
we've said that.
Yeah.
Come on, Adnan.
At least in terms of improvement, where would you say? Like, what would you change now? Right. You've gone there's been 1 year. Okay, now you've got 1 year from now till next Ramadan, right? From that 1 year, what have you learned, And I need a bit of time to think about it because I just threw the question.
What do you mean? Can you repeat that?
So we just spoke about what we have or haven't done in the last year.
Yeah.
How would you do that any differently with the coming year now?
Break it down. Okay, don't say what am I going to do from this Ramadan to next Ramadan, because what you're going to do is
scare yourself.
It's a massive amount of time.
It's a long time, so you can always be like, just wait.
Yeah.
6 months till Ramadan's around the corner, or so on and so forth. Now, what am I going to do from now till the end of this Ramadan? Okay, other than your khatam and your tarawih and so on and so forth, what are you going to take up that you're going to keep till, inshallah, forever, for the rest of your life? So break it down, because when you have such a long time span, you're gonna be susceptible to more likely to procrastinate.
Yeah.
If that was English.
No, you're right.
Yeah. So the longer the time span, the more likely you're gonna.
Short-term goals and long-term goals, I think. Short-term goals that build up on the long-term goals.
That's right. So break down your long-term goal, but don't keep in your mind. Don't have it in your mind that, okay, I have till Ramadan to achieve this. No, I have till the end of this month to finish this smaller goal. I have till the end of the next month or the next week, whatever it may be, to finish this goal. Because that's how you're going to overcome the whole bigger picture.
I think I'm going to be stubborn on this point. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong. But I think it's exactly what you're saying. Like, firstly, for me or for everyone, I think have a long-term goal or have what's your purpose that you want to achieve, Whether it's whatever you want to achieve in whatever aspect of your life, what is the purpose? So let's say your purpose for your deen, for your akhirah, or what you want to achieve in your career. Do you want to eventually become this role? Do you want to do this? Do you want to open up a company on your own or whatever it is? Have that purpose and then have a lot of short-term goals to achieve that purpose. Because once you have that long, I realize as well, I think at the start of last year, I attended this just business workshop. Now, it wasn't like a business coaching thing. And I just went in there. It was just a 2-day workshop. I'm like, okay, let's at least learn something. And then I had always in my head that what I wanted to do in my career path. And I didn't really realize how many steps I was doing that was wrong. I was thinking that I was going to do last minute until the guy sat with me. And he was just like doing a test. Like, it was just like what do you call it? Not a test. Like we're just talking back and forth, what's the word? Not a criteria.
Therapy.
Trial. Like therapy. a trial thing, just to see like how much I've thought about it. And I realized, dude, I have not thought about anything. All I kept saying in my mind was, I want to do this in my career path, and I have not thought about the million steps that I need to get there. And I realized how flawed I was and how I've actually got to start preparing from now that's for my career path, So whether it's saving money or doing other courses online or going into extracurricular activities in regards to that and learning, and I realized, subhanAllah, I was so behind and that I would actually have never achieved that in my time frame.
Yeah. SubhanAllah.
So I think, for example, let's say set a long-term goal. So let's say it's to memorize the Quran and have a lot of short-term goals and say, okay, I want to have it within this time frame and I'm going to start doing it. Instead of saying, okay, I just want to memorize the Quran, and you're going to keep saying that over and over in each year until death comes.
Just a quick side point. I don't know if you were going to go there, but I keep seeing these. Were you going to talk about those?
What, the Albayan Wi-Fi
Yeah.
radios?
I just
Oh,
seen them.
yes.
They're around. They weren't here last year, were they?
No, I think they were.
They've been around for yonkers, mate.
No,
Yeah.
but last year specifically, I thought they ran out or something. I don't know. I
They
can't
did.
remember.
They had to reorder a bunch.
Yeah, so I think I was told if you guys, we can give out a free Albayan radio today if we come up with a question for the viewers to answer, or we'll just say a statement and choose the best statement.
Are we going to
Is
go
how
on the
you wanna do
goals thing? Maybe like what? Like as in what should we do? What's some advice? I want to say like advice, but you know what I mean. Like goals for the next coming year.
Yeah.
What should we take out of Ramadan?
Take out a
So you
Ramadan.
want someone to post that up on Facebook or something?
I don't know. Is that what they're doing?
I've got a comment. Yeah, I've got like I can whatever we can ask a
Comment
question
section.
and for the live viewers to answer on. And as well, just my personal opinion, whatever. Really get your hands on an Albayan radio. Like in all honesty, they're very very beneficial. Whether it's just keeping it on play throughout the day, you've got like five daily adhans. It's got a cracker alarm.
Oh mate, that alarm wakes up my neighbours. No one is missing Fajr. Not even my neighbour, the Jew down the street. He's waking up for Fajr.
The alarm Mazen, does not stop until you press stop. You know, if you leave it on for 24 hours,
Hello, I'm gonna say
for 24 hours, I swear that I don't think. I think I've left it on for like 10 minutes and it wouldn't go off. You know, and
Does the battery die?
Shoot 10 minutes. I've had it, man. Sometimes like I wake up to it like that. I've had a couple times. I don't know what came over me. It went on for over an hour and I didn't wake up.
Wallah, it keeps going. It doesn't stop.
It did. My mama had to come from the next room. To turn it off.
You're gonna have some people sleeping with a hammer next to their bed.
No, don't keep it next to your bed. That's
keep
what
it
I do.
far away. That's the thing. I keep it
Yeah.
on my desk, but it's a bit further away.
They put the hammer next to it.
Thing is, it has a remote, so you gotta keep the remote away from you. As
No,
well.
I never touch it. The remote's still back in the box just in case I want to resell it. You know.
Shiny in 10 years.
No, and honestly, there's a lot of beneficial lectures on there, and a lot of stuff that we can use in our daily life. Like if you catch it at the right time, you'll get the dua of the morning.
اسماء الصباح والمساء.
Yeah, والمساء on there, and if you repeat after him, give it a couple of days, you'll start memorizing a good chunk of the dua. And there's a lot of beneficial lectures on
That's
there.
so important. أذكار الصباح والمساء. So important.
Yeah.
It's gonna protect you from the evil eye. It's gonna protect you from a lot of evil, and just the rewards that you get from it is immense. There's سيد الاستغفار within أذكار الصباح والمساء. Like there's so much in there, and it
even
takes you
Ahmad and I have actually
like
spoken about
10
this quite a
minutes.
number of times. Like where we've even, besides we've spoken about the standard set of adhkar, and then a bunch of other, for example, either it's a dua or a type of istighfar that we've either heard a sheikh say with the rewards, for example, and then just adding to that.
Just add one dua a month, even like one adhkar a month.
Like, do
That's
this
like-
for
that's
the whole
like
month and
being
then
a
add
minimum.
another one,
That's minimum, right? One adhkar a month. You can do Ayatul Kursi, the Mu'awadhat.
He's talking daily for a month.
Daily.
Yeah.
And then next month, just add one more to it. That's all it is, man. By the end of the year, you're doing 12 adhkars daily.
They don't even take
in the
you 10
morning,
minutes.
in the afternoon. It doesn't take you 10 minutes. No, there's long ones.
Of course,
there's
but as
very
in, like,
long ones that you can
at the
add
very
and so
least,
on.
it won't even take you 10
That's
minutes.
right.
And I remember saying this last year, but on the notes of adhkar, for me, I find, like, let's say you come into a repetitive adhkar, such as saying La ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lah, lahul mulku wa lahul hamdu wa ala kulli shay'in qadir 100 times, and we know the reward for that. Like, you get to it, and let's say on 50, whatever it is, and it starts becoming repetitive, and then once you get that split second where you actually, like, think about what you're actually saying, you're saying, wow, wallah, like, I'm just thinking, subhanAllah, like, the words that I'm saying is coming so light off the tongue, and inshallah, I get the reward for saying that every day. And it's just like, wow, like you just contemplate about what you're saying, subhanAllah. Even if you're driving, you're doing something repetitive. That's what I was saying, like in my car when I'm driving to work now, just because of Corona time, whatever it is, Quran or adhkar or listening to a lecture, once, like, when you start driving, you're not even thinking about where you're driving because you memorize the route, and it just hits you, like you just think about it, and subhanAllah, like honestly, the benefits I gain personally from that is amazing.
SubhanAllah, that's I feel like that's one of the best feelings. When you're just like mindlessly doing something, and then you find yourself saying something in your head and you didn't even know, but then you realize it's either
so
something like that or the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you're like, oh well, I was either reading Quran to myself, reciting a verse, or making a form of dhikr, and you didn't even know. SubhanAllah, it's such a state to be in when you realize that.
Let's do that next week. I've got a proposal. Next week, you share one adhkar, I'll share one adhkar.
Inshallah.
Why not, inshallah? We'll benefit ourselves, each other, and the listeners, if anyone is listening to us.
No, there's a lot.
But bring, obviously, we're not mashayikh or anything, so just bring the hadith or whatever it may be, and we'll just share the hadith, so to speak, or the adhkar or whatever it may be. And it's a small adhkar. Choose one of them, choose all three of them, choose two of them, and incorporate that from next week to the week after.
And we'll see how inshallah.
And see how you go.
Yeah.
And I agree with that. Like, for example, just came to my mind, I might be always thinking too negatively, but like, subhanAllah, how like you think about where, I'm not too sure if it's the Prophet or narrations, how you're going to die the way you lived. And I was like, you hear like stories, for example, let's say someone passed away doing something. Like, imagine you passed away in that moment, and even though you weren't thinking about it too much, but that was like the last thing off your tongue, like, because that's a habit you're used to. Instead of, for example, listening to music, and like you can go to the shops, listen to a song, and you'll come out 2 days later, the song's still stuck in your head, and you're saying some of the lyrics, and like, subhanAllah, like that's stuck from listening to it once. And let's say, inshallah, you don't have the intention that you're listening to and you're sitting on purpose, but imagine you died on that split second while you were singing the lyrics of that song. It may, even though you're doing something that's not really taking much of your thought and it's just in the back of your mind, imagine that was completely flipped and you were doing adhkar or you're doing tasbih, subhanAllah.
On that note, I know we're short on time, we're almost gonna finish, I think, but I remember listening to Imam's talk. I don't know if I can mention him, rahimahullah, but Imam Anwar al-Awlaqi, rahimahullah, he was speaking about the two types of death, okay? Wafat al-Sughra and Wafat al-Kubra. And how Wafat al-Sughra is the minor death, which is the sleep, okay? And Wafat al-Kubra is the final death when your soul is completely removed from your body and you move on to the next life. But just keeping that in mind, Wafat al-Sughra is a death that you experience every night, okay, every day, whatever it may be, right?
Some
every
of us
day
like
you're
you
experiencing
multiple times a day, come in.
Yeah, some people experience it multiple times a day, that's right. Especially during the virus. But when right before you have this death, what are you thinking about? What are you saying? Okay? And the biggest thing for me is when I wake up, what is the first thing that comes to my mind? Is it a song lyric? Is it, what do I got to do today? Is it so on and so forth? What am I thinking about at the moment I have just been revived from this death? Am I remembering Allah, who, alhamdulillah, returned my soul to my body? Or am I remembering a song by Tupac or whoever it may be? Or remembering an assignment that I have to do? Am I remembering this dunya or the akhirah? Right? And I'm going to jump in with this adhkar. I'm going to try, inshallah, reap the reward. The dua that you should be making when you wake up is Alhamdulillah alladhi ahyana ba'da ma amatana wa ilayhi nushur. Right? Ba'da ma amatana. You're thanking Allah for giving you life after you've died. That's in the dua. So we know, it's common knowledge that everyone knows that we've just died. Consider, what are you thinking about when you've just woken up from that death? Like, when I heard that, I was like, wow, I can never wake up again and think about a song lyric or whatever it may be. We have our shortcomings, right? Don't get me wrong. So, but majority of the time, you try your best and do your best to make sure you wake up thinking about Allah. And what he shared was what you think about or what you do going to sleep will most likely affect what you do and how you wake up. So if you sit there sleeping before you're about to sleep, you're sitting there thinking about, oh, I can't believe he said that to me. I can't believe he said that to me today. Oh, I can't believe this happened at work. Oh, I got to hand in this assignment, so on and so forth. You're going to wake up and you're going to be like, man, what happened with that assignment, whatever it may be. It's going to affect how you wake up. Yeah. But rather, if you sit there before you sleep, you're reading Ayatul Kursi, Ma'awadat, Surah Al-Mulk, Bismika Allahumma mutu wa ahya, so on and so forth. There's a longer adhkar as well, right before you sleep. Then inshallah, you wake up and you're remembering Allah. And how beautiful is that? You fall asleep remembering Allah, you wake up remembering Allah. You take wudu as well before you sleep, and then the angels make dua for you while you're asleep every time you move. Like, that was so profound for me. This minor death that everyone experiences on the daily, and most people do not utilize it. Most people. I
think like a test that we can do, or sometimes happens to me. Like, let's say I sleep in on a Saturday and I have that split second where I wake up and I'm like, oh, I'm late for work, even though it's a Saturday. And last time I thought to myself, like, first thing I woke up was not like, let's say I potentially missed Fajr, it's like, oh, I'm late to work. You know, and even though I wasn't late to any of them, I wake up on time. But it's like, what was I thinking first? Was I thinking Fajr or was I thinking work?
That's what's on your mind, yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, I was actually thinking about it being critical. I'm like, okay, imagine subhanAllah, one day I wake up and I've missed Salat al-Fajr and I'm late to work. Would I ignore Salat al-Fajr or would I take the time, still pray that, even though it's going to be, it's going to make me later for work and potentially get in trouble? You know, and I was thinking in my head, like, what would I choose, you know? SubhanAllah, like, we know the answer, but it's like, we got to know what's the right thing in our heart. So are we going to put it in ourselves? Because a lot of times I've woken up, gone to sleep for Fajr, woken up, and I swear I'm more scared being late for work than late for Fajr. Because I know there's not really a punishment, but because I know there's going to be something, everyone's going to be rolling their eyes at me in the office when I walk in because I'm the new guy. But for Fajr, I didn't have that huge amount of, like, what's the word? I didn't have this huge amount of worry that I could have potentially missed Fajr.
Yeah. On that note of worrying, why you're not, the tadhkirah today, mid-Tarawih, may Allah preserve the brother that gave it, he was saying, don't think of the sin as minor or whatever it may be, as like, he just swore, he just lied, I just, whatever it may be, I looked at haram, whatever it may be. No, rather think of from like a third person view, who have I committed this sin against? Whose command have I broken?
I've heard that a number of times.
Whose command have I broken, right? When, for instance, if Adnan tells me to pick up this rubbish, it may not mean as much. If my dad tells me to pick up this rubbish, it means more. If my mum, so on and so forth, if the police tells me to do something, it means more. If the premier, the president, so on, there's a hierarchy, right? The words are weighted heavier. Yeah. The consequence is larger, right? But rather, think about now the Lord of all the worlds, the universe, the earth, everything you embody, the blessings which you cannot enumerate that He's blessed you with, okay? Think about the sin that you're committing is now you're disobeying His command. And then when you think of it like that, now inshallah you will now worry more about missing Fajr as opposed to not waking up for work. In like a general example. That was actually a profound reminder today.
And going back to the point of what you said when you were talking about things you last do before you sleep, like just to add on to that, I don't know if Mazen experiences that. I've had that so many times where I'm like stressing over something and I go to sleep and literally I'm just dreaming about that, whether it's work or dreaming something like that, something. And subhanAllah, just now I'm thinking to myself, I don't think I've ever had a dream where I was worried about an Islamic duty or Islamic obligation.
Yeah.
You know? So,
I don't remember my dreams, but
I don't remember much. I remember sometimes when I'm really stressed out for something and I like won't leave.
And then you wake up on that thought as well, and you're still stressing the same stress of last night.
Yeah.
SubhanAllah.
Khair,
inshallah. Let's go through the comments before we wrap up. I think Said just sent me a message saying
this guy's persistent, man.
His comment, and let's give him some time. His comment was talking about reading and utilizing our time to read, which was correct. What I was saying, my tafsir of Said's.
Oh yeah, okay. So he was agreeing with you, Yani.
Reading, what he's saying, reading is important, paramount. Yes. As they would pay for the weight of gold for the book, it just shows you how important it is. As we all know, the first ayah that came down was about reading as well. It just shows you how important ilm and everything is, which is, I think we don't have too much time for going into seeking knowledge and how important that is in religion. But we'll hand it over to the host, Andrew O'Keefe.
Barakallahu feekum. Thank you guys for listening. Inshallah, tune in next Thursday for our segment in Ramadan at live on 8:30, and tune in every day at 8:30 where live Ramadan nights with our dear host Abu Abdurrahman. Every day there's a new speaker or new lecture going on. 8:30 is our live. Other than that, there are many lessons on the Albayan radio. وجزاكم الله خير والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Albayan Radio, the voice of Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah.